to pop on here today and give you a little pep talk. So if you are out there and you are a Christian mystic who is feeling like you just don't belong, right? Like your pastors are concerned about your yoga practice, your Reiki interest, your herbalism, whatever that holistic thing is that you as a Christian love, I just want to encourage you to keep going. Like I've been in that place of rejection, of not belonging, and I want you to know that it is possible to stay connected with churchianity at large without having a theological argument with the church. This is so important because for a while, I really felt like I had to sort of turn to the New Age and sort of turn to this more interfaith approach to spirituality in order to belong. And I really felt like I needed to walk away from the traditional dogma and rules of religion in order to find this sense of belonging. And the truth is, and what God put in my path was this church out in far northern California. Specifically, I'd spent many years living out in magical Mount Shasta, California, which you'll hear me talk about all the time, which you'll see in my marketing materials, because this place transformed me completely. And it's a place, it's a new age alternative medicine mecca where people come from all over the world, specifically for spiritual tourism. And at the same time, this church is essentially on a mission to support spiritual seekers in finding Jesus at their own pace. And so I showed up one day and I'm like, do you really mean it? And the pastors were like, yes, we really mean it. And I found this sense of belonging. I found this sense of community with what they referred to as Christian spirituality, historic Christian spirituality, this original, what they call the way. And for me, what I found in my work is taking everything that is amazing that I have learned in that journey of that amazing church plant and the 4 years I spent on and off on staff with them in a volunteer capacity, and taking that to sort of a 2.0 version here, including the more mystical, holistic aspects of that. So that is what I want to encourage you with, is that it is possible to be in complete theological alignment with the church. You don't have to like now believe that maybe Jesus, was actually not God. Maybe he was just human. Maybe he was just one of many ascended masters. Like, you don't have to give in to any of that. You can completely be true to the faith that you perhaps were raised in, which 70% of Americans still claim to be Christian. Christianity is still growing at an 8% a year rate. 40% of Americans report meditating on a weekly basis, and 50% of Americans struggle with love addiction or codependency and complex trauma. So I want you to know that although, yes, this is a very specific intersectionality you're at here, in some ways, whatever is resonating about what I'm saying, whether it's your struggle with codependency, whether it's your struggle with where you belong between the New Age and the church, whether it's your struggle with feeling like the church doesn't want to accept you, I want to encourage you, like, this is that safe place. That is what I'm creating here, is a place for you to feel like you belong without having to abandon any of your traditional orthodox views while still being your fully mystical shamanic self. And I know that's crazy to say, but I'm going to die here on the molehill of the Christian shamanism. And I believe that that is just where the Holy Spirit has called me personally to, and standing for faith, absolutely. But also I want you to, if you feel any sort of shame about who you are and how love has gone for you and your journey and your story, whatever that's been as far as trauma and heartbreak, and perhaps you didn't have that marriage that fit the church's mold, and so you dealt with your own religious trauma, and perhaps you've been unpacking your faith and then reconstructing it and trying to put it back together in this way that works for you. I just want to encourage you, like, this is a space that is sensitive to all of that. So definitely, yes, there are some traditional, conservative, biblical values here, absolutely. And at the same time, this unapologetic commitment to these more holistic, spiritual, mystical practices, meditative, shamanic practices of alternative medicine, and being at the forefront of that and taking that back from all of the far reach of the New Age into a place of alignment with biblical truth. And I believe that this healing ministry approach and what the God is doing on the earth in terms of this laying on of hands revival movement, and specifically what is going on in our political climate where there is a coming back to faith. I believe that this is the Lord's work, specifically in having alternative medicine and holistic health be at the forefront again and no longer be this demonized practice that is looked down on, like you are a second-class spiritual citizen because you partake in these alternative things, right? So like, maybe you're just not being discerning enough to be dabbling in yoga and dabbling in herbalism and dabbling in Reiki. And I want to encourage you, yes, there is a need to be Christian adapted in our approach to spiritual tools, because spiritual tools are like prayer and fasting, and they have no allegiance to a single worldview of religion, hence the need to adapt it. But at the same time, your religious accommodation of these holistic tools is a game changer in your ministry and in your own recovery and healing work. And so I just want to give you a pep talk that you can do this, that you've got this, that you totally are capable of hearing from the voice of the Holy Spirit and hearing the voice of God in a way that makes sense for you, and that you are also capable of staying connected to the church at large, right? Like staying connected to churchianity without feeling like you have to walk away from that and become a Lone Ranger Christian. I do believe that God is calling us into community, into connection, while at the same time being okay with being in a place of whatever your church hurts are, whatever your complex trauma, whatever your background of being betrayed, that this is a space and a place where you belong. And so if you're interested in learning more, I would love to hop on a free call with you, a free connect call. You can find the application either in the link below or on my website, and we can chat. We can learn more about these offers that I have, specifically Abide and Anointed, what is on offer, how I can support you, and specifically this movement of holistic approaches to complex trauma and recovery, and how you can be walking in the fullness of your calling in getting the momentum that you know you are here on the earth to create, and no longer just waiting for better tomorrows, no longer wishing, no longer wondering, but specifically walking in the fullness of your calling by doing your own healing work as the foundation for that process. So you've got this. I'm proud of you. Keep going and know that I'm here should you need me. Take care.